My husband cheated on me with my sister, but my toxic family sided with her. Years passed. They contacted me, begging for a kidney to save my sister. You think family will always have your back? After my sister ruined my marriage, I faced the impossible choice of saving her or letting her suffer. All was fine until about 8 months ago, when my sister, Sarah, 28 female, returned to our hometown after residing in Florida since she was 18. Her long-term lover dumped her and relocated to another city, leaving her impoverished. The circumstances surrounding their breakup remained mostly unknown. When Sarah returned, she revealed he had been cheating with men. I didn't know him well, but that seemed far-fetched. I only met the guy 3 times, because Sarah would only come home for Christmas and normally stayed for 3 to 4 days. He accompanied her twice during their 5-year relationship. I met him again 3 years ago when my husband and I paid them a visit for a day while on vacation. He didn't strike me as the type who would have a double life and leave Sarah with nothing. I tried to contact him once but was blocked, so I let it go. Sarah moved back in with my parents, Linda, 55 female, and Robert, 56 male. For the first month she was here, she struggled to find a job. So, I suggested that James assist her. He is a higher up in his firm, and I assumed he would have some influence. He did, and she secured a position in his department, a job within her field. My sister and I have never been particularly close. She is the golden child, at least according to our mother, and our father has no spine when it comes to her. It's not overtly clear, it's just a million subtle details. For example, when we turned 16, we both got cars, but mine was an 8-year-old Dodge Neon, and hers was a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Her dance rehearsals, costumes, and contests cost thousands of dollars over the years. Some competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and they didn't blink an eye. Meanwhile, when I asked for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camp at our local college, they gave it to me, but you'd think I was asking them to build me my own arena. What annoyed me most was when I was 17, I went out with my boyfriend, lost track of time, and arrived 15 minutes after curfew. They took my car for a month just for that. The following year, when Sarah came home 2 hours late, smelling like pot, she got a stern talking to. I wasn't sad when she left for college and chose to stay in Florida. Despite this, she began spending more time at our place, which I felt was wonderful at first because it seemed like she was trying to connect with me. Then I noticed she and James were becoming increasingly familiar. They would discuss almost anything at length and develop their own inside jokes. If I tried to join in, they'd say, "Just a work thing." When I asked James about it, he said they had a lot in common and were working on projects together. The first major red flag was that after about a month, she'd be at our house when I got home from work. James and I have different schedules. He works 8:00 to 4:30, while I work 10:00 to 7:00. This happened often. When I asked about it, I was usually told they had work stuff to do. 2 months ago, I found something that made me question my sanity. Every day before work, I make the bed, always positioning the open side of the pillowcase toward the edge. That day, when I got home, Sarah had been over. She ate with us and then went back to my parents' place. As we got into bed, I noticed 2 pillowcases were turned toward the middle. I asked James if he'd been in bed that day. He looked surprised and said, "No, why do you ask?" I replied, "The bed's not the same as I made it this morning." He said I must be mistaken because no one was in it. I searched his phone and laptop without his knowledge and found nothing. But they worked together 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and hung out after work. Why did they need to text? I felt like I was losing my mind. 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us to dinner. Everything was fine until I noticed something. James only moved when Sarah casually grabbed his arm. He looked at her, and she mumbled something. They pressed their foreheads together for a second. James jumped up and kept walking. Sarah looked at me, smiled, and went back to her task. I'm not an idiot. I saw a mountain of red flags. I didn't want to believe it. I've loved James since I was 21. I planned a weekend trip to the city to ask him about it, hoping it wasn't what I thought. Update 1. You survived, but my world has been shattered. We went on the weekend trip. Friday night was lovely. We drank, danced, and were intimate. We had plans for Saturday, and I almost said nothing, thinking he couldn't be with both her and me. I was so wrong. As we were getting ready for Saturday, I asked him directly if he was having an affair with Sarah. He teared up and said, "Yes, he was." My heart sank. I asked why. He apologized, saying he didn't want this to happen. They just clicked, and before he knew it, they were kissing, then more. I asked if he'd been sleeping with her in our bed before I got home from work. He looked down in shame. I left with just my handbag and drove home alone. He took an Uber and arrived hours later with my other belongings. He tried to apologize, but I ignored him. Through tears, he packed a bag and went to a motel. The next day, I told my parents. They already knew. They apologized and said Sarah left last night and might not be back for a few days. I'm sure she went to James. That was 3 months ago. Our divorce is nearly finalized. James got an apartment, and Sarah moved in with him. I only contacted him about the divorce. At first, he said I could have the house and savings guilt talking. Then, a few days later, he said we'd split the house. I knew it was Sarah's influence. I'd already moved the savings to a new account, so there was no fight. Just like that, 9 years of my life vanished. He doesn't know what he's in for. She's a narcissist and will discard him eventually. Sarah has been cruel. A few days after I found out, she mentioned me in a Facebook post, a selfie of her and James, him kissing her cheek from behind. The caption read, "Feeling loved." It was terrible. I logged out, deleted the app, and blocked her on everything. She texted me an hour later, "Sorry sis, I didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. I hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday too." I blocked her everywhere. My parents haven't been much better. When I said I was cutting contact with Sarah and James, they tried to be sympathetic at first. My mother said, "I'm sorry this happened. It shouldn't have happened this way, but your sister deserves to be happy too. You'll meet someone, and we can put this behind us." I was furious and told them about Sarah's post and text. My mother said, "Well, you shouldn't be on that stuff anyway." My father hasn't said a word. I asked him once what he thought, and he said, "I agree with your mother," then left the room. I'm cutting them off too. The house will be sold soon, and I'll move to another state without telling them. I'm done with them and wish them the worst. Update 2. Hello everyone. It's been 4 years since my last update, but a huge event occurred. First, an update on me. I'm recently engaged. It took a lot of therapy to get back out there. I started dating soon after settling in Minnesota. I had a decent first date, then found out what an annoying jerk he was and swore off men forever. That's when I went to therapy to deal with the trauma of my husband and sister's betrayal and my parents' abandonment. After a tough year, I met Daniel, a 37-year-old man. Yes, he shares the same name as my father, but Daniel is wonderful. He's a chef, and he and his fraternal twin brother, Michael, own a successful restaurant and bar. I'm thrilled to start my future with Daniel. Now, about my family's audacity, I had no contact for almost 9 months after I left. I didn't tell them where I moved, only informing a few close friends and cousins. One day, I found a wedding invitation in the mail for James and Sarah's wedding, with a tacky photo of them cuddling in a sunflower field. There was also a letter from my parents. "You need to forgive and put this behind us. We know things didn't go well, but we're family and families work through problems." They said Sarah wanted me to be a bridesmaid, as she was for me. That letter reopened old wounds. My therapist got a lot of business from it. I find it funny now, but not then. I didn't respond. I just figured out which extended family members gave my address and cut them off too. This brings us to recent drama. Last week, James, of all people, showed up at my apartment. Daniel and I don't live together yet, but that'll change soon. James looked too good, like he was trying to impress. I asked, "What do you want?" He said, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Sarah and I are divorcing. I found out she was unfaithful our whole marriage. Surprise, surprise. I don't expect you to take me back, but we should talk and get closure." I blinked twice. He'd lost his mind. I said, "No, I give you no closure. You made your bed. Did you think that Golden Hoe, who's had more visitors than the Holiday Inn, was going to put up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on it? You're dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I'm better off now, and that'll always be the case. You can go to hell." I turned, went inside, and locked the door. I called my landlord, the sweetest old lady I've grown close to over 4 years, who knows about my past marriage. James was still in the hallway. Her nephews, who maintained the grounds, arrived and told him he was unwelcome and banned. If he returned, the police would be called for trespassing. I hoped that was the end, but it wasn't. I have a simple 9 to 5 job now, so I go to Daniel's restaurant almost every night. I don't interfere. I just hang out and enjoy the few minutes he has free. I've become close with the staff, including Daniel and Michael's family, and it's the family I've always wanted. The next night, James walked in and sat at my table. It was a slow Tuesday. Daniel noticed, came over, and, knowing James from photos I'd shown him, asked, "Do you want me to kick him out?" I said, "Not yet. I have questions." James perked up like he'd won something. What a fool. I asked him to explain what happened with Sarah. It was morbid curiosity. He said she was having at least 2 affairs with married men. Old habits die hard, I guess. It's been 2 years. It was tough for me, he said, eyes rolling. I interrupted. "You're not that dumb, though. Did you protect yourself, or did she get half your stuff?" Smiling, he said. I stuck it out another year with her so I could stow away savings and sell assets. In the end, she got a fraction of what she would have. I asked, "What happened to her then?" He replied, "She had to move back in with your parents." I was satisfied. "Yes, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. You can go now," Daniel said. "You heard her. Out of my restaurant." James tried to protest, but I cut him off. No forgiveness, no closure. I just wanted to know my loser sister was back at home. "Get out." Daniel stood and pointed to the door. James saw the bartender and 2 waitstaff glaring, tucked his tail and left. Daniel began, and "If you ever come back," James interrupted. Yeah, I know. Cops, trespassing." After he left, everyone checked on me. It was sweet and embarrassing. My future in-laws called and insisted I stay with Daniel for a few days for safety. I've never had a family care for me so well. I didn't hear from James again and hope I never will. Update 3. Hello, everyone. I didn't expect another update, but here we are. I'm a 41-year-old mother of 2 boys, ages 6 and 2. Daniel and I are doing great. I work part-time as an office manager for the restaurant, and Daniel's cousin, Sophia, invested in the business. We opened a second location 3 years ago. It's more work, but with the 3 of them committed, we're thriving, and it gives them personal time. I got pregnant while staying with Daniel after his parents insisted, following my last post. They joke they always wanted grandkids, and it was their plan. After James found me, I knew it was only a matter of time before my parents or Sarah showed up. It didn't happen right away. I relaxed, feeling I had a strong support system, and returned to social media. I kept no contact with most of my family, including extended relatives, but I knew they could find me if they tried. I didn't get a message until after our first son was born, from my mother. She gave a half-hearted apology, mentioned forgiveness, and asked about her grandchild. I found the claim offensive and replied, "You have no grandchildren. I'm not your daughter, so my children have no relation to you. If you want grandkids, encourage Sarah to get out there and do what she does best." I blocked her. She made new accounts and tried contacting me, but I denied or deleted everything. This brings us to recent drama. I was flooded with requests, texts, and other contact attempts. I read some, and it was a sob story about missing their grandchildren's lives and wanting to make amends. I didn't care, and had no intention of letting them back in. Then Sarah started reaching out, saying she wanted to talk. After 3 weeks, I agreed to a Zoom meeting. Just me, no kids. People kept asking to see the children, but I refused. They have 3 grandparents, Daniel's mother, father, and grandmother. I sensed this was about something else. Sarah looked awful, and my parents looked old and worn. They all apologized. Even Sarah, who admitted she was wrong and wanted her sister back. That was absurd. My mother went on about family and looking out for each other. When she finished, I said, "Is that all you have? I'm leaving." They shouted for me to wait, and the facade crumbled. The real reason emerged. Sarah has had health issues for years. Her kidneys are failing, and she needs a transplant. That's why they were so persistent. A family member is the most likely match. I said, "This is why you called? You want me to save her after what she did? My husband wasn't enough. Now she needs a body part too?" My mother snapped, "Stop being like this. That was long ago." She choked up, crying, "I get it. You hate us, but she'll die without a transplant soon. Is that what you want? I know you think she wronged you terribly, but please, just this once, can we set that aside?" I stayed quiet to see if they'd say more. My father spoke. "We're sorry for everything, but we have big problems. Between her medical bills and not working, your mum and I are getting older and have our own issues. We need you to come back to Missouri and see if you're a match." but we could also use some help, or we might lose the house. I said, so, you need my kidney and my money? He replied, don't put it like that. Sarah spoke, please just come home. I need my big sister. I don't want to die. Can you just see if you're a match? If you're not, we'll never contact you again. I said I'd think about it, do research, and let them know. That night, I talked to Daniel. He supported me fully, no matter what, and asked if we should all travel or if he should come. I said no to both. I was going alone. I told my old family I'd get lab results in Minnesota, and if I was a match, I'd come and discuss everything. A week later, the results showed Sarah and I were a perfect match. I agreed to return to Street Charles. By the time I arrived, Sarah had complications and was hospitalized, which kept everyone from pushing for a dinner, as I had no intention of socializing, especially since my parents kept asking if I'd considered helping with their finances. They stabilized Sarah. I met with the transplant doctors, who wanted to discuss everything with everyone. We went to Sarah's room, where my parents were. The doctor explained Sarah had about 6 months without a transplant, outlined the procedure, and emphasized how perfect a match I was, how unlikely it was to find a better donor, and how urgent it was to schedule the surgery. I stepped to Sarah, took her hand, looked into her deep brown eyes, and said, "Did you hear that? I'm a perfect match. Essentially, I'm the only person who can save you, and I'm not going to. You are the most vile, narcissistic piece of gutter trash I've ever known. I only came so you'd know the one person who could keep you alive is the one you wronged the most. Now you're paying for it with your life. You're going to die. Make peace with that." Sarah burst into tears, and my parents turned to confront me. The doctor and nurse stood in disbelief. I turned to my parents and said, "Don't even talk to me, and don't you dare ask me for anything ever again. The only money I'd spend on you would be for your funeral, on the condition you're cremated and the ashes given to me, at which point I'll deposit your remains in the dirtiest ditch I can find." I left the room without looking back. I'm back home, surrounded by my true family, and couldn't be happier. Thanks for following and being part of the drama. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a wild new story.